Sawadee Kop. Alright, 4-hour work week, good stuff. The following rules are the fundamental differentiators to keep in mind. It's a big word for this early in the morning. To keep in mind throughout this book. Number 1, retirement is worst case scenario insurance. Retirement planning is like life insurance. It should be viewed as nothing more than a hedge against the absolute worst case scenario. In this case, becoming physically incapable of working and needing a reserve of capital to survive. You no longer can generate income, so you need to have something coming in. That's why I'm such a fan of passive income, rental properties and stock market dividends, things like that. Retirement as a goal or final redemption is flawed for at least 3 solid reasons. A, it is predicated on the assumption that you dislike what you are doing during the most physically capable years of your life. This is a non-starter. Nothing can justify that sacrifice. A lot of people are miserable at their jobs and just do it because they need the money. Most people will never be able to retire and maintain even a hot dogs for dinner. What's wrong with hot dogs for dinner? I like hot dogs. Standard of living. Even 1 million is chump change in a world where traditional retirement could span 30 years and inflation lowers your purchasing power to 2 to 4% per year. Most people don't think about that, but yeah, inflation eats up your retirement savings. And if can you live for 30 years on $1 million? $1 million sounds like a lot of money to the working class people, but when you look at it that way, it's absolutely not, because you're losing 3 to 4% every year if you don't do anything, right? If you just sit still, just leave it in the bank, it's going down 3 to 4%, as opposed to making, 7, 8%. It's losing 3 or 4%. So yeah, 30 years. The math doesn't work. There's a little footnote, I'm going to catch it this time. Living Well in Barron's magazine, March 20th, 2006, Suzanne McGee. So you can look that up and see the math. I'm sure you can find that on the internet. Barron's, BARRON''S magazine. The golden years become lower middle class life revisited. Like you're just surviving, not thriving, right? Which is what nobody wants. That's a bittersweet ending. C, if the math does work, it means that you are one ambitious, hardworking machine. If that's the case, guess what? 1 week into retirement, you'll be so damn bored that you'll want to stick bicycle spokes in your eyes. Okay? You probably opt to look for a new job or start another company. Yeah, this is like adrenaline junkies. I get it. And I think he was kind of that way for a long time. I think he's finally settled down. Old age has a way of doing that to people. But I think he was one of the option C guys. Look for a new job, start another company. Kind of defeats the purpose of waiting, doesn't it? I'm not saying don't plan for the worst case. I have maxed out 401ks and IRAs. I use primarily for tax purposes, but don't mistake retirement for the goal. 3 minutes, okay, we're golden. 2, interest and energy are cyclical. If I offered you $10 million to work 24 hours a day for 15 years and then retire, would you do it? Of course not. You couldn't. It's unsustainable, just as what most define as a career. Doing the same thing for 8+ hours per day until you break down or have enough cash to permanently stop. How else can my 30-year-old friends all look like a cross between Donald Trump and Joan Rivers? Plastic surgery? It's horrendous. Premature aging fueled by triple bypass, frappuccinos, and impossible workloads. Okay, I get what he's saying. They look twice their age, basically, because they're burnt out from burning the candle at both ends. And that's what they call success. They would consider themselves successful if you ask them, but they're looking like Donald Trump and Joan Rivers is not a compliment. Alternating periods of activity and rest is necessary to survive, let alone thrive. Capacity, interest, and mental endurance all wax and wane. Plan accordingly. The new rich aims to distribute mini retirements throughout life instead of hoarding the recovery and enjoyment for the fool's gold of retirement. By working only when you are most effective, life is both more productive and more enjoyable. It's the perfect example of having your cake and eating it too. Personally, I now aim for 1 month of overseas relocation or high-intensity learning, tango, fighting, whatever, for every 2 months of work projects. So he got a little ratio that works for him. I like that. I would flip 2 houses and buy one, buy and hold. Back in that worked for me. So that worked for him. 2 months of generating income, 1 month of enjoying it, right? Spending it. So, and not every penny. Obviously, like you said, he has maxed out 401ks and IRAs just in case. It's always good to have that oh shit fund, right? 3, less is not laziness. Doing less meaningless work so that you can focus on things of greater personal importance is not laziness. This is hard for most to accept because our culture tends to reward personal sacrifice instead of personal productivity. That's huge, right? You appear to be working hard, or you put in the hours, everybody's like, he's such a hard worker. What are you getting done? What are you producing, right? Less is more. It's hard to grasp because you've been taught the opposite your whole life, but he keeps reinforcing it and giving examples and telling you why that's true. Few people choose to or are able to measure the results of their actions and thus measure their contribution in time. More time equals more self-worth and more reinforcement for those above and around them. The new rich, despite fewer hours in the office, produce more meaningful results than the next dozen non-new rich combined. So the old way is very inefficient. Let's define laziness anew. To endure a non-ideal existence, to let circumstance or others decide life for you, or to amass a fortune while passing through life like a spectator from an office window. The size of your bank account doesn't change this, nor does the number of hours you log in handling unimportant email or minutia. It's huge. Focus on being productive instead of busy. That's golden. There you go. Nuggets, baby, nuggets. Dropping nuggets. 4, the timing is never right. I once asked my mom how she decided when to have her first child. Little old me. Tuna fish. That still cracks me up. Tuna fish. The answer was simple. It was something we wanted, and we decided there was no point in putting it off. The timing is never right to have a baby, and so it is. For all of the most important things, the timing always sucks. Waiting for a good time to quit your job, the stars will never align and the traffic lights of life will never all be green at the same time. The universe doesn't conspire against you, but it doesn't go out of its way to line up all the pins either. Conditions are never perfect. Someday is a disease that will take your dreams to the grave with you. Pro and con lists are just as bad. If it's important to you and you want to do it, quote, eventually, just do it and correct course along the way. That's that ready, fire, aim that we talked about. You can fix it. If you break it, and you probably will break it, fix it along the way. It is that simple. It can be that simple because it's all in your head. You control it. Asking for forgiveness, not permission. If it isn't going to devastate those around you, try it and then justify it. People, whether parents, partners, or bosses, deny things on an emotional basis that they can learn to accept after the fact. If the potential damage is moderate or in any way reversible, don't give people the chance to say no. Most people are fast to stop you before you get started, but hesitant to get in the way if you're moving. Get good at being a troublemaker and saying sorry when you really screw up. All right, I'm going to end it there. Only 9 minutes, but more importantly, he's just gone over a lot of good stuff. The cool thing about YouTube is you can watch this freaking video 10 times if you need to. Watch it at least a second time and take down notes, because I just covered a lot of friggin' information in those points I read. 9 minutes of video has given you a lifetime worth of shit worth incorporating and absorbing and using in your business, in your life. So I'm going to stop there. God, he did boom, 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 boom. If the first couple of days were light on content when he was setting up the book and giving you the 30,000 foot view, we're down in the trenches today, motherfucker. Bullets are flying. So Like I said, watch it again, write down notes, take away what you get from everything I read today. Today was a lot of good information. Hope you guys find it useful.